Good morning. I hope that everybody is ready for a terrific Tuesday. Sorry, the camera's shaking. I had to get it just right in my hand. It is day 2 of our 28-day guide. It's always amazing to me how fast these 28-day guides go. But day 2 of staying completely on plan. We're following, for the most part, we're trying to use my Keto Living book as a textbook. If you don't have it, that's fine. You can stay with us. But hopefully you went through the first day feeling pretty good. Hopefully you went through the first day feeling like, feeling satisfied, right? Feeling like you were with other people, feeling like there were several thousand others that were joining you. We talked yesterday. Good morning. I see people join us. We talked yesterday about kind of learning and how it feels kind of awkward sometimes when you're learning something new. And so I'd love for you to comment. I'd love for you to comment on this video about your eating yesterday, and did you pay attention to hunger? I'd like for you to comment about kind of how it felt in that first day, eating differently if this was your first, if this truly is your first week on keto. If it's not your first week, you can talk about just kind of how it felt with the 28-day guide. And I don't know if you're following the meal plan, you don't have to, but I'd love to hear about what you made. I'd love to hear feedback on the meal plan as to whether it was too much food, not enough food, that kind of thing. Servings, portions, things like that. So day 2, I'm on page 123, following the signs. And one of the things that I talk about is a healthy fear. I share a story on that page 123, which is absolutely a true story. I had gone to get my bicycle. So when I was young, my maternal grandparents owned my grandfather was retired, but it was like a hobby for him to own this little convenience store. And it was when they were independently owned convenience stores and not everything was like a chain. Sorry, Banjo always has to get his little amens in, right? And so there was a busy highway, really busy highway they lived on. And I'd walked across the street to get my bike because I'd get bored. I'd be over at the store. My mom would work there. And it was one of those places where they still pumped gas for you. So that's how, and I was in kindergarten. I was young. So I had walked over to their house. I'd crossed the busy road, and I'm sure with help. And my grandmother had this long, long driveway. And when you're 5, it seems even longer. But I had walked down the driveway, and the driveway curved around beside of our house. And so I walked the driveway, and there, in the little side yard, because the driveway kind of curved around, there was a side yard. So the house was over here. Nobody was home. She was still working. My grandmother worked and outside the home, and then my grandfather had the little store. And so I had walked out there to get my bike, and I guess I'd planned to just ride my bike up and down the driveway. And we had a little path. We lived out in the country, and so we had a little path around my grandmother's house. There was a dirt road. We could We could ride bikes down to the branch, and I'm sure I was encouraged to do that, because it would be being active, maybe losing some weight. I don't know, but I enjoyed it. So I walked out to get my bike, and as I came around the corner in the side yard, there was a group of dogs, neighborhood dogs. And now my grandmother always had chows. She had this chow, we called him Whiskers, the grandchildren called the dog Whiskers. And so Whiskers was it was very odd. And I don't know, I'm sure some of you can explain this animal behavior to me. But the 2 dogs were in the center of the circle. And Whiskers and a Doberman. So you've got a chow and a Doberman, and I'm 5, are there, and the other dogs are circled around them. So the Doberman and the chow are like nose to nose in the center of the circle, and the other dogs were circled up around them. And in my 5-year-old brain, I felt like I had walked up on like this secret meeting of the dogs. I didn't know what was happening. I knew it was bad. It felt like they were going to fight. Something was going to happen. Like Whiskers and this Doberman were going for chief of the dogs. I don't know what was happening. But anyway, I saw the dogs and immediately was terrified. So there was Whiskers, there was a Doberman and the chow in the middle, and there were probably, 8 to 10, maybe 8 to 12 dogs circled around them. All the neighborhood dogs were there. And the minute I saw them, I did what I probably should not have done. Instead of backing away, and I guess I don't know why I didn't think about going in the house. I was running back to my mom. So I started running down the driveway. So here I am, this chubby little, 5-year-old girl running and screaming bloody murder. I mean, screaming the top of my lungs. And I was just terrified. Now, I had never really been afraid of dogs because Whiskers, I knew Whiskers, but he was chasing me with the pack. So I'm being chased by this pack of dogs. And as I run to the road, this is a busy highway. It's Highway 2427, if you're familiar with that in North Carolina. It was 2-lane then. It's 4-lane with a median now. But anyway, I ran to the road and started running beside of the road. And I thought, I don't know, but I'm going to get eaten by these dogs. I mean, I was really scared. Traffic noticed me. It's such a busy road, and traffic noticed me, and cars started slowing down. Because I was screaming like a crazy woman, a neighbor 2 doors over from my grandmother, who lived much closer to the road, saw me. She and her husband were home. This is like during the daytime. They saw me and started calling their dog back. Their dog was the Doberman. And they started calling their dog back. And when their dog went to them, the other dogs followed the Doberman. And in my 5-year-old brain, I thought, oh yeah, they're going to get those people because they're adults and there'll be more to eat. So my 5-year-old brain, I was like, okay, yeah, the dogs are going after the adults. The dogs are going after the grown-ups, not me. But I share that story on page 123 to talk about how from that day on, I had a real healthy fear of dogs. Now, obviously, my dogs don't have a healthy enough fear of me, but I have a healthy fear of dogs. And I try to instill that in my children, that dogs are different when they're in a pack, because there was my beloved Whiskers who never would have hurt me. So there's my beloved Whiskers, but he's chasing me. He's chasing me as part of a pack. And so I've also tried to, like I said, teach my children, we have 2 of the friendliest dogs, in spite of Banjo's barking. He's quite friendly, but we have 2 of the friendliest dogs that you'd ever want to meet. But I also tell my children, when you encounter a dog out in, somebody else's house or someone's yard, or you encounter a dog even out, in public somewhere, don't ever just like reach down and pet the dog. You have to kind of introduce yourself, extend your hand, let them sniff your hand, let them sniff your fingertips, but don't just start petting it. And so I've tried to instill that in my kids as well. And then for me, there's that healthy fear too, especially if it's all pack of dogs again. What does that have to do with low carb? Well, what it has to do with low carb is those healthy fears that we develop can serve us well. And when we I developed what I believe to be a healthy fear of sugar and starches and carbohydrate. And so how that has served me is someone will say, hey, don't you want to try a piece of this cake? Or don't you want to try a piece of cheesecake? Or have a muffin, have a biscuit, it's a holiday, have a, whatever. I had this, what I believe to be a healthy fear of, wait a minute, I know what happens when I eat that. When I ate those things, when I ate the high carb stuff, when I went ahead and had the French fries, that's when I was wearing the size 24 pants. I'm terrified of going back there again. And I want to say that. I say that I'm terrified. I believe it's a healthy fear. I think that I spent way too much of my life being morbidly obese. And I have this fear of, I don't want to be back on pain meds for my back. I don't want to be back struggling to walk upstairs to tuck the babies in, although they're not babies anymore. You've seen them. I don't want to have that struggle of obesity. It's already a struggle for me to try to just maintain my weight. It's a struggle for me just, with getting older and being 50 and having really crappy, screwed up metabolism. It's a struggle. But I don't want to be back in that place, that morbid obesity struggle. I don't want to be in that place where I'm wearing plus size clothing. So I think when you have that fear, and that's why I think knowing your why is so important. The worksheet that I asked you to do, that's free on my website, and that's also in the book. That's why knowing my why is so important, because you put into words, what does it mean to be morbidly obese for me? What does it mean to be overweight? What does it mean when I eat carbohydrate? That's the life I'm running away from. That's what I'm trying to leave and I don't want to embrace. So when I talk about developing that healthy fear, a lot of that is really about, okay, what do I not want? And what gets me away from that thing? what keeps me away from being devoured by the French fries, or what keeps me away from devouring the French fries? It's making that decision of what I don't want. I don't want to go back to that place. It's not a fun place. And people talk about being deprived. They talk about how, I want to have French fries. I don't want to be deprived. And I'm thinking, man, that when I was deprived, the most deprivation of my life was when I was eating those kinds of foods. That's when I was kept from living as much as I am now. So it's almost 8 o'clock. I'm so sorry I'm late. I have a doctor's appointment at 8:15. So Dr. Brackman and her staff, I think some of the staff are in this group. I'm on the way to see you guys. And so just for today, I will use my healthy fear. Not talking about disordered eating here, y'all. I will use my healthy fear to avoid sugar and starches. My healthy fear will make me cautious about the foods I choose so that I will not fail. And I want to add something in here. If you're not new to keto, I think sometimes we also have to have a healthy fear of too much keto food. And I was talking with someone else about this yesterday. Come here, Banjo. I was talking with someone else about this yesterday. I was talking with her about, you don't go off plan, but maybe you're stress eating pork rinds or you're stress eating black olives. How bad is that? Well, it can be bad. And so I think for me, I'm going to use my healthy fear today not only to avoid sugar and starches, but I want to use my healthy fear to keep my portions in control. I'm going to use my healthy fear to not snack on nuts, to not snack when I am stressed or worried about the storm that's coming. So just for today, we're going to stay 100% on plan. Use that healthy fear to get us where we want to be. Okay. Good morning, guys. Happy Tuesday. I'll see you tomorrow.